Fruhl's back acts up sometimes. Grimp wants a paid vacation. And Rom and Leeta find out they make a pretty darn good team. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 7th Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
We're also joined by a very special guest today, Miss Chase Masterson. How are you,
guys.
Chase?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we're doing a review of Deep Space Nine Season 4 Bar Association with an all-star group directed by Mr. LeVar Burton, which I didn't know. Also written by two guys you may have heard of, Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf. Now, the story is by Barbara J. Lee and Jennifer A. Lee. I kind of want to look them up a little later and see what's up with them. Let's talk about this awesome episode. How you guys doing?
Really well.
Doing really good, yeah.
One of my favorite episodes, so I'm excited to be here.
Right. It's a big one.
Yeah.
It is a big episode.
Also, very quickly, a shout out to our good friend, Mr. J.R. Poole. J.R. Poole does some really cool graphic design. He also looks like he designed some pretty radical T-shirts. Am I right, Cirroc?
I like this one right here.
Yep.
Nice.
The Afro knot. Thanks, JR. Appreciate your love, man.
Now, J.R. Poole also has a website. Definitely go check it out. It's called theblackheroesmovement.world. Theblackheroesmovement.world. Check it out. He's got a ton of awesome designs. We will include it in the description box below, so you can go down there, support it, buy some really cool stuff. He's got a cool line called the Afronaut, or just Afronaut, obviously. Really cool. He was also on our show once, a Discovery Review. And finally, he designed the coolest frickin' poster ever, or one of them for us. And I should have had it ready to just display here, but instead we've got the lovely and talented Leeta displayed here with Rom back here. And doesn't this guy kind of remind you of Nog? But we'll talk about that later. Anyway.
He does.
Very special thanks to J.R. Poole. And let's talk about this episode. Sorry about that. But he does look like Nog, I swear. He does remind me of him.
Captain Nog.
I think we should start by just saying how beautiful you are in this episode. I mean, you just are stunning, and the camera loves you.
Well, coming from you, Cirroc, that's really nice. Thank you. We had so much. Thank you. You know, this is a very special episode for me. This was kind of a further dive into knowing that Leeta was actually going to be part of this world. It was only the third episode I did. So even, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but as recurring characters, we didn't have contracts. We just were invited on a per episode basis, so they could have killed us off any time. So to even get an episode was really nice, but to be so integrated into a theme that was so important to this show, a justice-oriented theme, and to be working with Rom, to be working with Max Berdenchik so closely, and to have this fun, you know, in the world kind of thing happen with Leeta, it was such an honor.
You know, and that's really, we're already starting off with exactly what I wanted to ask you, which is, this was your third episode. And not only you said, you know, we don't know if they're going to kill us off or not, but as an actor, sometimes you'd love to be killed off because that means you get one more episode. They might never even call you at all ever again. I mean, so often we see an episode with a cool character and they just never come back. And not only did they call you, but when you read the script, did you kind of have a hint where you think, you know, if I'm kind of being integrated into a character story, then maybe that means I'm going to be coming back more often?
It was really nice in that way. It seemed that, you know, as we said, Leeta was just part of this world now. Although you're right, being killed off on Star Trek is a guarantee of 17 more episodes. So not that would be a bad thing, but it was really just a wonderful, I don't know, fit. It was fun to see this happening in terms of justice, in terms of, you know, the Ferengis finally standing up for themselves and getting to really be every man, every woman. You know, we all want good things to happen and to be treated fairly. And when Ira did the documentary, when we did What We Left Behind, he checked off the boxes of things that were important subjects to discuss in this show. And this episode was part of that. part of actually a fairly small handful of episodes that were really exemplary in terms of social justice. Not small in terms of, not in terms of every show on television, but, there were probably, 10 or 20 episodes of DS9 that were really this deeply justice-oriented in this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was really...
a lot of times women don't get to play strong characters that are opinionated and have a fighting spirit. And I think that's one thing that comes across in this episode is seeing how strong your passion is for justice, for being a part of the cause. I really like that about this because it's an empowering thing to see you in that way. Did you have any kind of influence in that decision-making process, or is that just something you stepped into naturally?
It was just something the writers did. I mean, Cirroc, you guys may have been able to have some sway with the writers over being series regulars over the course of 7 years, but for us, we were just happy when the phone rang, the home phone attached to the wall.
Yeah,
I know.
Well, you did do something, though, Chase. It's what we noticed and what surely the writers noticed in the first 2 episodes you were in. And there are certain characters and certain actors, we've mentioned this before, like with Aron Eisenberg playing Nog, certain actors basically with their performance demand to come back. And, it's kind of like what Robert Hewitt Wolf said once they killed Weyoun, Jeff Combs's Weyoun, which you kind of alluded to, where you can come back 17 times. They're like, what have we done? He was such a great actor, such a great character. We got to bring him back. And so, somebody like you, the first couple episodes, you made it clear that they got to figure out a way to bring you back.
That is so nice to hear. I was shocked when it happened. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on this show. I just May of the last time I was here. But Barry Hochwald was this wonderful actress who was on my first episode at the same time. And I got word that Rick Berman had come to the set, which he didn't do often, right, Cirroc?
Right, he did not.
Yeah, and everyone was saying the reason he's here is to check you and Barry out, and one of you will get to come back. And you know how actors think, we're always like, it's going to be her. I don't have a shot, man. I don't stand a chance. And I really loved her work. I thought she was exemplary playing a scientist, and she's beautiful and all that. So, it's all so just incredibly good. When you think of this, it's like, wow, positive. Just gift after gift, right, Cirroc? I mean, this show,
yeah,
gave
clearly
us so much.
Who Rick Berman chose in that instance. That's not a secret.
Yeah,
so you were definitely the one that stood out the most, and I think Ryan is right, because when we did see you in the episodes before this, there's just a certain kind of presence that you have that people are like, oh, I need to find out more about her. What's she about? And in this episode, we get to see what you're about, which is this fighting spirit, this drive, and this obviously attractive energy that you're putting out. That Rom's picking up on.
Rom's picking it up.
Everybody was picking up in this episode. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I have to say it was really nice to be part of something that was so powerful and outspoken, and still be a female that, isn't afraid of her own sexuality. And I think that one thing about Leeta is that I was ordinarily a pretty light character. And, Rom and I were often the comic relief, or the Frankie were the comic relief in what was otherwise a very richly deep, dark show. And there was obviously the moments of huge heart with you and Avery and so many other things, but we were light by comparison. And it was really nice to see this relevant subject matter being approached and being able to be there for it. I think it gave Leeta some validation that yes, no, she's not just a push-up bra. And that in turn, it in turn felt validating for me, because no, I'm not just a push-up bra, and I'm embarrassed that I just said that, but I live my life around social justice now and standing up for people. And that's really who I am and always have been. So there's a part of me that could feel a little unseen as Leeta being seen as Dabo girl. It just isn't really who I am. And so it was really nice to be closer to things I care about.
There's a lot of things that you just covered there, and I want to talk about all of them if possible. I mean, we've got the situation with you and Rom. We've got push-up bras. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. But before we move on to those other subjects, I do want to finish embarrassing you and talk about what you did that was so great that I would think made not just the writers want to bring you back, but the fans. Because growing up as a fan, watching this, I do remember what it was that you had. It's hard to put it into words, but the character of Leeta, for some reason, it grabbed my attention. She grabbed my attention because she had like this spark, right? We understand why you were brought on originally. Sometimes it's eye candy, sometimes it's comic relief. They had different characters that they bring on sometimes, or sometimes it's an interesting character to forward the story and things like that. But as a fan, when we watched that character, there's that, whatever it is, that spark, but that thing that, when casting agents, when they say, she's got it. Nobody really knows what it is, but we recognize it when we see it. And you had that. And that's what obviously got you the successful career, that and obviously 99% really hard work. But I do want to say it was more than just the writing and good acting. You clearly brought something that resonated through the screen that we all saw.
That's so nice to hear. Thank you, Ryan. I'm grateful for you saying that. And I don't know, but I'm grateful to be able to have brought a loving energy with Leeta, to have, I think Leeta was a very present, very available emotionally and compassionate, loving character. And I loved that, this episode got to exemplify that, or to show that in Leeta. And I would have to say, I really want to say right back to you with your journey, Ryan. I mean, for you to have been a fan and now be so integrated into the world of Star Trek and this show, the documentaries, everything that you're doing, and to have the incredible followings that you have on social media, that's an actor's dream. That's so much. It's just so much good.
Thanks very much. So I went from being a fan to being a professional fan. But thank you. I appreciate it.
You're more than that.
You're on the other side of the fence now, Ryan. I think you crossed over. It's official.
Yeah, I think it's official.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're very well loved. So it's cool.
Well, you surround yourself with the right people. And I think we did that. And so we're pretty fortunate there.
You're a good person with a good team. And hard work. That's, when you said that yesterday, we were on a call, everybody, we were on a call where we were discussing the social media aspects of all of this and how integrated that is into fandom. And we really didn't have that during the run of Deep Space Nine. I mean, the internet wasn't even a thing yet.
It's like you guys were flying blind. You're just guessing.
Yeah. And I think what it would be like if this show were on today with social media and what we could, capitalize on in that sense. But we were really, I think the good side of that is that this show really was at the beginning of so much. As as I'm sure you guys discussed, we're at the beginning of serialized television. And I think that's one reason why this show is so well loved and why it holds up and why there's such a nostalgia for it, is that people see it as exactly what it was a risk-taking show that relied on the trust of the audience to tune in and to keep the through line of the episodes in their minds and hearts, which you didn't have to do with other non-serialized shows.
Yeah. It wasn't just at the beginning of serialization. It kind of was the trailblazer of serialization, or one of them, right, Cirroc?
I would say so.
Seems like
it was a trailblazer in a lot of different ways. They really tackled some heavy issues, and the writers were not afraid to kind of touch those hot and button issues that people usually steer away from. Like, you don't talk politics, you don't talk religion, but yet that's exactly all.
But yet Deep Space Nine was like, all right, here we go. We're doing it. Come on, I'm ready.
Exactly.
You want religion? We got all of that.
Yeah.
And so I think they weren't afraid to do that, and they just went right at it. And I think that was what made it special. Plus the fact that people like you and the entirety of our cast really believed in what they were doing. So they, each one of them brought the best of their abilities to the table, and it just meshed very well together, I think.
It really did mesh beautifully. People ask if we see each other. Do people ask you that all the time? Like, do you see the rest of the cast? Yeah. And I say, yes, we do. And it's always wonderful. And it's not often enough. But there's a closeness in this family that is kind of like a lot of people only have in high school or something, like that remember when kind of feeling with a group of people. And it's wonderful.
Actually, that does bring up another quick point is I'm wondering, Chase, when you put yourself back to that third episode there, did you feel that welcoming and that warmth by the third episode already, or was it just kind of a gradual feeling of family like in the later years?
It was more gradual in the deepest sense. I mean, everyone was very busy doing their jobs. And so when you have material that's this heavy, you say hello. Well, people said, hello, welcome, great to have you here, and nice work, or this or that. But as far as, feeling fully integrated, I think it's a good thing that it like a slow simmer soup. Relationships have grown and matured and solidified over years, and they're real. I got an email from Nana earlier today, and it was about something she's working on, and it made me feel so good.
I bet I know what that is, and it is awesome. If I'm guessing correctly, I mean, I cannot wait. But anyway.
Yes, thank you. Well, anything Nana Visitor works on is going to be amazing.
That's exactly it. So it's a safe bet.
Yeah. But I also come in with that kind of, frankly, that kind of fan-like view of this, because I watched the show before I was on it. Not a lot, to be honest, but I did love Star Trek and the episodes of this show that I had seen. So I wasn't like a stalking fan or anything, but I had a deep respect for what Star Trek is, the messages, the actors. I don't know if I'd ever mentioned this, but I saw Nana on Broadway when she was doing My One and Only with Tommy, Tune, and Twiggy. And my sister and I sat in the audience of this Broadway theater and figured out what was the name of that chorus girl because of the songs that she was singing. And I was like, yes. And we figured out by looking at the program and what she sang and this and that she must be Nana Visitor. And we waited outside this stage door and we got 3 autographs, Tommy, Tune, and Twiggy, and Nana Visitor, because she was so damn good.
Wow. I hope you told her that, right?
I did. And and this is so cheesy, but the autograph is still in my mom's house, and she signs her name much the same way, which none of the rest of us do. Now we're just all about scribbling, right?
Repetition, yeah.
Cirroc, do you scribble?
I scribble way more than I used to.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to write out different letters that I scribble past.
It's Cirroc scribble. It's all right.
But sorry, I think I jumped over you, Cirroc. You were saying something? The trouble with scribbles? Is that what you said?
I said the trouble with scribbles. Yes.
That's funny.
But Chase, what would you tell yourself if you could go back and talk to yourself now, the version of you now talking to the version of you then when you were 25 years ago? What would you say to yourself about what to expect and what you would be doing?
Wow, what a great question. I want to ask you this too after, okay? If I may. All right. You want to go first?
Oh man, that was a hard one. No, I want you to go first.
Okay, all right.
If this was a tennis match, she just served it right back at you so hard,
Cirroc.
Yeah, I know.
She did. I mean, I can go first. Yeah, I would say that you should really cherish it even more, because there's part of me that thought it would last forever. And when you're doing it, you think that it will last forever. You think that, oh, this is just my life now. But it's a short ride. And then when it ends, first you're like, oh, I'm glad to be done with that. And now I can unwind and do other things that I really want to do. But then you start to realize how much you really did cherish that experience, how much those people meant to you. And then you try to recreate it on other productions, and you find that it's not the same chemistry. It's not the same ingredients. And so I would go back and say, yeah, cherish this moment, because it won't last forever, and it doesn't get better than this. That's what I would say to myself.
That is so beautiful.
So even better than that, Chase, is you get a couple more minutes to think of an answer that's as good as that one, because we do have to take a break in just a couple minutes. But before that, I do want to make sure that we mention all your work that you're doing in the community with your organization. You actually have a couple things. I know there's Pop Hero Culture Coalition. That's popculturehero.org. We will include that in the description box below. Everybody check that out. But before you do, let's hear a little bit more about it. What can you tell us, Chase?
Thank you. This means a lot. I founded Pop Culture Hero Coalition in 2013 to be the first ever nonprofit organization that uses stories from television, film, and comics to teach mental health skills and therefore end bullying, racism, misogyny, LGBTQI+ bullying, cyberbullying, and other forms of injustice. So we have pop culture fluent clinical psychologists and veteran educators who are huge pop culture fans, who use these characters. The thing is, we love these stories for a reason, and I don't have to tell your audience that. They speak to our hearts. They show us things about ourselves. I often said regarding Deep Space Nine, we didn't boldly go out. I think Jeff Combs said this in the documentary. We all say it. We didn't go boldly out to places. We boldly went into ourselves and into our own psyches and into each other. And so these stories, with all that they hold in such a transcendent way, can really be used to help people's lives in very direct ways. So we have programs in schools and in Comic-Cons, children's hospitals, and YMCAs now. That it's a very, very extended 32 lesson plan curriculum that use these stories to teach healthy identity, which will end bullying and racism and misogyny. When people, mentally healthy people don't bully each other. We teach resilience, how to get through things like having a bad day, or like depression, anxiety, loneliness, fear, COVID epidemic. So resilience is a very key thing that these stories teach. We teach empathy, which is basically IDIC. And we teach how to enlist help, making healthy choices in terms of friendships, very important for children and teens. And we teach how to stand up for people, how to not be a bystander, but how to step in and be a hero when you see someone else being bullied, and how to take all of the things that we've learned about ending implicit bias and having our own healthy identities, and then step out and help the world on a greater basis, which I see Star Trek fans do all the time. So it's really taking the education I've learned from Star Trek, enlisting a team of people who are way better than me, and bringing this work together. And we are officially the mental health program for YMCA children and teens.
Wow, that's really awesome. We should talk about this a little bit more, because there's more to this than just that. So we'll talk a little bit more about it on the other side as well. But everybody, if you're wondering, that sounds familiar, where have I heard that? Have you seen any of those Be Kind shirts? That's where this comes from. So those Be Kind shirts, and by the way, those are on sale or for sale, I should say, on her website. She's like, what do I got to change this real quick? So definitely check that out. It's in the description box below. We'll talk more about it on the other side.
It's Be Kind Merch. Yeah.
Be Kind Merch.
I see it. You're right. BeKindMerch.org. I was just clicking around on your website. But we'll be right back on the 7th rule.